Hello, this is just a little video if you're trying to do this assignment at home and you're confused. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to click on this link and you're going to open it up and it's going to take you to this website. This is a speed of impact and energy impact calculator. And you're going to use it to fill out your first table. Okay, so the first thing it asks you for on this calculator is your height and your mass. So you need to go back to your assignment and get those. Your mass is going to be, in this whole table, it's going to be the golf ball mass, which is 0.046 kilograms. So you're going to take that mass and you're going to put it in here. 0.046, and it's in kilograms because it says it's over here. It needs to be in kilograms. Okay, then we need the height in meters. So you're going to come through here and you're going to be using these heights over here on the left to fill in your speed of impact and energy impact. So our first height, and it has to be in meters, is 0.3048. Okay, and then here, once I've put those two numbers in, it calculates for me the speed of impact is 2.44 meters per second, and the energy of impact is 0.14 joules. So I go back to my assignment and I write that in, 2.44 meters per second, and energy of impact is 0.14 joules. Okay, then I'm going to continue to go through and find my numbers just like that. So I go back into the calculator and I change my height. We're going to keep the mass the same because we're looking at dropping the golf ball from different heights. Okay, so if I come back in here and I get my next one at 6.096, put that in the calculator and figure out what are my speeds at impact and energy at impact. Okay. Once you have done that, you're coming down here to this graph and you are graphing this data. And all it is the first graph, you're going to graph the height versus the speed. Okay, so our height versus our speed. Then the second graph, you're graphing your height versus your energy. And you're going to be doing this by putting a point of data at each one and then collecting those or connecting those points of data with a line. So our first point of data for our height versus our speed is going to be at our height. It asks for feet, so it's going to be at 1 foot, and then our speed is 2.44. So I'm just going to open this up, give it a second to load. I'm going to choose to add a circle as a shape, and I'm going to go in. My height was 1 foot from that first column, so here's my 1 foot, and I'm going to go up to the speed of 2.44, okay, and I'm just going to put a little dot there. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. Oh, let's move that a little bit. Okay, if you want to, you can print this out. Okay, there's my first dot. And then I'm going to go through and find the other heights or the other speeds at the different heights. And at the end, I'm going to draw a line to connect all of my dots. Okay, lastly, I'm going to delete that so it doesn't get saved on this assignment. Lastly, this next graph, it asks you to look at the height and the energy. So that's the height is on this column and the energy is on this column. So you're going to do the same thing, that we have the height as at 1 feet and energy is at 0.14 joules. So how I'm going to graph that on this graph is we're going to go to 1 foot right here. And then we got to go up to 0.14. Well, it looks kind of hard to do that, but it's actually really easy. What you got to think about is on these sides, these numbers, you could put a 0 at the end of them. So really it's 0.10, 0.20, 0.30, 0.40, 0.50, 0.60, 0.70, 0.80, 0.90. So when I'm looking at where do I put 0.14, it's going to go in between my 0.10 and 0.20 right here. Okay, so again, I'm going to add my shape. And I'm going to go from 1 foot up to 0.014, draw a circle there, and there you go, there's my bullet point. Okay, that's how you're going to do it. Make sure to save that so I can see it when you submit it. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to answer these questions. And these questions are important. Make sure to be specific in them. Don't use pronouns when you're answering them. Use the words that you mean. You can't just say it increased. You got to tell me what did. Was it the speed? Was it the height? So let's do this first one together. You're going to see that as you're going to have a line that goes from this bottom corner all the way up to the side. That's what your graph's going to look like in the end. And so it says, how was speed of impact affected by drop height? Well, you're going to say as height increased, the speed at impact also increased. Okay, and it's going to ask you some other questions. So number 1 and 3, they're asking what's the relationship between the height and the speed, and in this case, the height and the energy. Okay. Alrighty, you got the rest of that. Go all the way through. The very last page can be a little bit confusing, but all you're doing is you're choosing one of the drop heights from your other pages. So you come back to here and choose one of these 6 drop heights. You record that number here. Then you go back through your 3 pages and you get the data of for the bowling ball, lacrosse ball, and golf ball, the speed of impact and energy impact at the drop height that you chose. That's what you'll be graphing. That's what you'll be answering these questions about. Okay, if you have any other questions besides that, please send me an email and I will help you out. Thank you. Good luck.